Thank you. Yes, right there. The water. James got some. So all praises to the Most High to giving us the Spirit. Come here, fellowship, keep the commandments. Happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath to you too.
Okay, so in our conversation, in our talk, we're fast forwarding many things. We typically start off where Siobhan did an excellent job. So if he was here teaching, that's what he would do. He would start in Genesis. That is correct. If he didn't go back as far as Adam, we've been back as far as the genealogy of Adam, but you don't have to go back there. We split the nations up. We can't do that every time we assemble. That's why you got to be studious. You got to pay attention. And obviously that's what he did, because he went right to it and said, well, I'll start in Genesis with Abraham and Abraham, getting married and stuff like that. So the next question was, what is the purpose that the Most High gave him the woman? There's a purpose for everything. And then I asked us to go to the book of Romans. Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9. And verse 7. So this is the answer, Siobhan. This is where you would pick up next if you're trying to explain. And so it would be the people hooking up, we see flesh. It was like her, because Sarah was a beautiful woman. A lot of you, I don't know, you might not know that. Judah, how you doing over there? You feel some flow?
Yeah.
You love me?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
All right. I love you too. That's a little bit. I know it ain't much, but you know what? It's I put some stuff in motion. So Romans chapter 9 and verse 7. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So the purpose of the woman was to give a godly seed, and the Most High can call that seed from a lineage of someone that he is faithful to, that's been faithful to him, that he's familiar with. This is a whole plan that was orchestrated by the Most High. Abraham was chosen, Sarah was chosen before they even knew it or understood it. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God, but the children of promise are accounted for the seed. So there would be a promise that the Most High had made with Abraham, not to all people, to a lineage. And the Lord would bring that lineage through Abraham. And that sister Sarah was predestinated by the Most High to be with that man and to bring forth that seed. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. So where people, they bypass all of this, and they bring in their thoughts, their feelings, their minds, their emotions on anybody, well, we have to deal with the righteousness of the Most High, which is the scriptures, and the technicalities of the Most High, which is wrote in the scriptures. Not only this, but when Rebecca, so it's still descending from a bloodline. Also, so if Rebecca also, this also is stemming from who? Who is the first person that will help incorporate, bring forth the seed. Somebody said Abraham. Who's this? Who else is involved? Sarah. Sarah. We're so used to discounting sisters and bypassing them that we can't see the importance of them. When you see the importance of them, you'll stop treating them any type of way. Sisters, hold your head up, walk strong. Well, not prideful, not in rebellion, but stop being crushed because you feel and think that the scriptures are in masculine form, that you don't have no place but to shut the heck up and listen. Oh, you are very instrumental. Just like the hem of a boat. You could take the biggest boat out in the let's just say the calmest waters in the ocean, and you will not get it back to shore except one of the smallest instruments on it, which is the little hem, right? The stern thing, right? So that's very important. Without that, you're messed up, right? So without you, sisters, things are messed up. So there's got to be rhythm, there's got to be balance, and you've got to believe that. Sisters, you got to believe and feel like I am going to bring rhythm. I am going to bring balance. I am going to feel and do the work, do my part and portion of the will of the Most High to make it happen and to make it work. You got to feel like I make it work. Do you not realize that men feel like we make it work? We steal all the credit all the time, to the point to where you feel like, dang, if you doing it all, what am I doing? I'm doing nothing. I'm nothing, because you're always in correction. You are always in correction because of an attitude that you shouldn't have. If you didn't have an attitude and you walk according to the word of the Most High, there will be no reason to blame you or reprove you, and so on the more. So let me read this part again. So we the book of Romans chapter 9 and verse 9. For this is the word of promise, that at this time I will come and Sarah will have a son. So Sarah is the person, not Abraham and not Isaac, even though they were very instrumental as well. Sarah. Not only this, but Rebecca also. So it's stemming from Sarah. Rebecca gonna be instrumental. Had conceived by one, even our father Isaac. So the statement of importance is made before Isaac is mentioned. So that lets us know and proves that Rebecca is significant in bringing forth one. Do we see it? Okay. For the children not being born yet, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God, according to election, might stand. Not of works, but of him that calleth. So what was the purpose? I'm asking the question again. What was the purpose, Travon?
For the purpose, you are going into Sarah, right? The question you were actually.
Is this because he's teaching? So is it safe for him to ask, or is it safe for him to know? You could take a moment to think about it. Y'all know that Jeopardy music? Who used to watch that? He's thinking. What answer? What is the purpose? Don't get lost. Don't get shook. You got this. You've been right. Keep it in perspective. What is the purpose?
The purpose is because
It's for a particular single reason. I'm giving you a hint.
That God's election might stand.
Okay. Well, you got something out of the scriptures, but when I'm looking for something different, remember the seed.
It's important because Sarah was the one who begot Isaac.
So the purpose of the Most High is to bring forth a seed from them. And he, before anybody saw their attraction, before he even knew that, he would, nobody knew anything before take Sarah. Before Sarah even know she would be taken, the purpose of the Most High far exceeded them, because the Lord had an agenda or a purpose to bring forth a seed that he would make a promise to. It's about the seed and the two people that was instrumental that he used to do it. So I narrowed it down. You got some and I gave some. Are you clear? That's where we would start. And from that point, Trevon, you would continue to express about the seed and the promises made to the seed. Okay? So let's go. Let's see. We got nowhere to go because we technically didn't start. I feel that I would just start speaking. I'm like, I gotta start this. So what we're doing is we're fast forwarding through Genesis until we're gonna get to the seed. Let's see.
It was quizzing us on like different questions pertaining to what predated the Passover.
Okay. Now, so we'll so it gets tricky because go back over to verse 7. Five o'clock. Okay, guys, take a moment for the 5 o'clock prayer, and we'll resume in just a moment. All right. So Romans chapter 9. In this, it gets kind of twisty and windy, like the road to tabernacles, and you have to just stay on it and ride it and explain it when need be. And here I'm going to show you how to do it and where it get twisty at. So in Romans chapter 9 and verse, let's see, 7, neither because they are the seed of Abraham, because Abraham, you got Ishmael, okay, and Abraham had other children, okay. Abraham took other wives, all right, or they are children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So there's a certain particular seed that the Most High was called. And so for us to keep track, he'd have to put you on the first seed so that you can understand how additional seeds will be included under the promise. But this is the first seed is Isaac. This is why I'm saying it gets kind of twisty and windy. When you first enter a road and it gets windy, you might, if you're driving, you could lose control, and then you got to slow down and get the feel of it. Like, okay, this is going to be that. I got to do more braking than I do pedal, and I got to do some coasting, and I got to, now you're trusting these hills and twisted in that. Okay, so you're going to jump over to verse 12. But it was said unto her, this is Rebecca. So this would be a second, this would be, no, I'm sorry. This would, yes, this would be, yes, the second generation that stemmed from the first seed. Now, Travon and all you other brothers, you may not have to go and explain all of this. But the fact that we're going over it, it should be with you for a lifetime. Because Jah, the first seed is who?
The first seed is Isaac.
There you go. Thank you. The first seed is Isaac. The second seed, Jeremiah, is who?
Jacob.
He said David?
No.
Jacob. Okay. The elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, boom, Jacob. There you go right there. Jacob have I loved. Verse 14, what shall I say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? God says, no, he's not unrighteous. He's got to continue to extend his promises throughout that bloodline. All right? Now, let's lose that. And let's go to bear with me. Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11 and verse 11. This would help us to understand the importance of saving the children of Israel from the land of Egypt, because they were chosen by the Most High, and they were special and they were peculiar. You literally could take these same notes and precepts into another setting, and if the Spirit allows, you can just unfold it the exact same way. That's nothing wrong with that. It helps people to understand how to navigate through the scriptures and not get entangled in a web of confusion. So this is Hebrews 11 and verse 11. Through faith also Sarah. So she is the first woman that was very instrumental. Herself received strength to conceive seed. That's the first seed. And was delivered of a child, same one, Isaac, when she was past age. So she got older. So we're the Hebrews 11:11, because she judged him faithful who had promised. The Most High promised her that she would have a child, and she judged him faithful. She believed him. Pass. Guess what? Look at what's going to happen. Sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead. Talking about who? Abraham. No, not Esau. Abraham. Because Abraham was a very older man. When you get that age, you are past childbearing. So he was good as dead. So many. What is happening now? As the stars. Now the seed and the promises, you know, that road I told you has to get twisted. Now it's incorporating many seeds. As many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand, which is by the seashore, innumerable. Because if the promise had just stayed with only Isaac, Isaac would have been the only one what? Blessed. But the blessing, it had to extend through those generations, because that was the will of the Most High. Okay. Now, let's go to the book of Galatians, the 3rd chapter. Galatians chapter 3 and verse 16. I'm going to call it a trick question. You are not going to let the question trick you, or the precept trick you, or stray you away from what you are grounded in, what you know to be true, and what you understand, even though the situation presents itself as tricky. You stay grounded right where you at. Galatians, Abraham and his seed, plural, which is Isaac. I'm giving you part of the answer. Were the promises made? He said, not and to seeds, as of many. What is that talking about?
Abraham's other children.
Right. Abraham's other children. That is not talking about how the blessing and the promises had to go from Isaac to who? Jacob and Jacob's his sons. Those are not the seeds it's talking about. It's talking about what a novel said. If you do not understand that, you just ran off that swirly road. You crashed. You're over in a ravine somewhere. Is anybody unclear? Are you on task, Trevon?
It's not all the way clear to me.
Okay. Nava, help him.
So basically, when it's saying now to Abraham the seed, that seed is talking about Isaac. And it said when the promise was made, he said not two seeds, because Abraham had just more than Isaac. He had Ishmael, and then he had children by Keturah. So when I'm talking about the other children, it's just talking about the lineage through Isaac. But it's talking about the seed. Does it make sense?
Right. So this is explained. If we go back to Romans 9, and you brothers, y'all can link this with Romans 9 and 7. So it's Romans 9, it's 7. It says, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. So this here is covering all the children that Abraham had outside of the ones that's promised. It says, are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Because that was the promise in Genesis 15. Because it first originally started with who? No. Yes, but who's his first son?
Ishmael.
So what son naturally gets the blessing? Exactly. But so go to Genesis 15, because Abraham himself tried to fight for who? Ishmael, and the Most High had to correct him. Because if Ishmael was counted, who's left out? No. Sarah. If Ishmael is counted for the seed, then where's the promise to Sarah? Because Ishmael is not Sarah's son. I mean, yes, correct. Ishmael is not Sarah's son. So it's Genesis 15 and not 15, I'm sorry, Genesis 17 and starting at verse 15. So when you read earlier, remember, I'll just mention it in the 15th chapter. Remember, Abraham was childless, and it was said that Eleazar, who was one of his servants, would be what? His heir. So now he doesn't even have a son through his loins to pass down his inheritance to. So the Most High had a plan to give him a son, but Sarah got impatient. And through her impatience, she brought in Hagar. So now let's say Abraham is joyous and happy, celebrating because he got that boy, right? So now Genesis 17 and 15, it says, and God said unto Abraham, as for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall be her name, and I will bless her and give thee a seed also of her, and I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations, kings of people shall be of her. So jump down to 18, it says, and Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. So this is the first child of who? The flesh.
Yes.
It's the flesh because they calling it the flesh because it's not the child of what? Promise. So that's how you differentiate that and you don't confuse yourself. Who was the promise made to? And anybody that the promise is not made to of Abraham's seed, those sons or children will be called children of the flesh.
Let me ask him a question. You still got it. So I saw this movie and I had asked at home with my family that I was watching. I had asked about if this man had. I don't want to spoil the movie. If this guy at the end of the movie had made a right decision. So without spoiling it, I'll get back to the scriptures. And maybe with me mentioning this, hey, happy Sabbath, Sophia. With me mentioning this, they will be able to understand why did Abraham lobby for Ishmael, but not for Isaac. I'm sure, I'll just leave it at that. In your own opinion, I'm not going to say you're right, wrong. I just have an opinion. Why would he lobby strong and emotionally for Ishmael, but not for Isaac? Go ahead, Javon.
Because Ishmael was his firstborn.
Okay, well, that his firstborn, but you got to come with something a little bit more logical and stronger emotionally. That's the key. Than that. I'm giving him one more shot. He's the teacher. Think about it from his shoes. You are Abraham. You're talking into the Most High. You feel some type of way. Why do you feel so strongly for Ishmael?
Because that means Ishmael doesn't get a blessing either.
Okay, somebody else. Yash said right. What's up, Yash?
Because not just Ishmael being his firstborn, but the time and the love and the teachings and like all the things he instilled in Ishmael up until the age when it came about where Sarah was going to receive the blessing. It was a emotional attachment with Ishmael.
Okay, all right. Judah?
He wanted both of his kids to be blessed.
Well, let me say this. Okay, Yash said it at the end. It's like hitting the ball. You hit the ball, bing, you know that's a home run. You can just see it right off the swing. You hit it, the connection, this is out of the ballpark. Because he knew him. He knew Ishmael. He didn't know Isaac. Isaac was at the time what?
A baby. He wasn't born yet.
He was a promise.
Yeah.
He was a promise. And now all of a sudden, the kid, the child that you know, you've been waiting for, you raising, is, he's got to play second fiddle. Like, I can do this, Lord. If I can do it, juggle them both. If I can feel for them both, so can who? So can you. So can you. So you can't feel for somebody that you ain't met yet. I get it. I'm going to love it. But the feelings are established through experiences, through moments, right? That's why, can Ishmael live before you? So he had that connection with him.
So we was in Genesis 17 and now 19. It says, and God says, Sarah, thy wife, shall bear thee a son indeed. So he come back and he confirms it. And thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. So now when you go back to that Romans 9 and 7, that's what that's talking about when it says Romans 9 and 7, neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So even though he had other sons, they were the chosen ones or the promised ones. So everybody else would just be children of the flesh.
Now, the road is twisty and windy, and I'm going to show you seeds on how to be able to express and explain and help support what a novel was bringing forth. So now go to Genesis 15. Did you quote something in 15 yet?
I just mentioned Eleazar.
Okay. So in Genesis 15, the Lord proclaims this to Abraham, and the Most High wants you all to feel the exact same way. Pay attention. Genesis 15:1. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. So to know the Most High and to have the Most High is the greatest reward that you can ever accomplish. Like Christ said, this is life eternal, that they may know thee, the only true God. Your connection with these laws, statutes, commandments, and precepts is the most rewarding thing that God himself could have ever revealed to you, because it teaches you how to stay out of the pit. It teaches you how to love him. It teaches you how to have success while you're in this earth. It teaches you how to close doors behind you and open new doors. It teaches you how to grow, how to turn over new leaf. It teaches you how to deliver and save yourself. It teaches you how to have a relationship with him. It teaches you how to have a relationship with anybody. It teaches you right from wrong. So he is a humongous and an exceeding great reward, and it leads to life eternal. So now, verse 3, Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed. So this is even he had no child. Now let's fast forward to verse 13. He said unto Abram, Know of a for surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a strange land that is not, what's that word? That's plural. That seed is still contingency upon what we were talking about when we left Hebrews 11, which we got to get back to. These are not the other seeds of Abraham, and this is not talking about Isaac. Isaac did not go into the land of Egypt and end up in captivity. But here is mentioning Abraham's seed, and shall serve them. Isaac did not serve the Egyptians, and they shall afflict them, plural, the seed, 400 years. And that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. That's the Israelites. Okay? So is everybody, so Trevon, are you clear with the seeds now? So you have to, so it changed up, and you got to be able to take the change with you and explain the change when it needs to be. You don't have to pour everything out on somebody's plate because they may not understand. They're not going to know as much as you know, son. You have to feed people with food convenient. But you got to be able to rightly divide the word of truth. You may have to just keep it simple with Isaac, and not Ishmael, to lobby a point that we're Hebrews and not Arabs. And that's it. You don't confuse a person. Your guys here are learned. You're not confused. But you can very well take this information and pour it upon somebody and completely baffle them. I just don't see, I just don't understand then. And then not believe when you went too far trying to prove a point that you didn't need to prove. This is for your edification and understanding. So when you get to a situation that you got to control, you can control it because you're being showed it in the scriptures. And the Most High is mentally and spiritually giving your increase so that you can understand. That's not our job. Our job is to present it to you and he to help you to process it. You see how fast we're going through these precepts? The Lord give you the capacity to keep up with that and put all these things together. That comes from studying. That's why we're being advised to always study and read and stay connected. Okay, so we clear up until this point, right? Go to Jeremiah chapter 23. There's another one, and then we'll go back to Hebrews 11. Now, this is just a witness to the Genesis 15. Jeremiah chapter 23 and verse, I'll start at 7. Someone said, I used to live in fear when I followed these folks. Now my life is abundance. I'm sorry that you got twisted somewhere around the way, Joseph. The fear is the fear of the Lord. And if you followed the Israelites and you lived in fear, it's because they were teaching you laws, statutes, and commandments and trying to tell you not to go and break them. If you're living in abundance, you're trusting in the uncertainty of riches, and you may be living without the laws, which now you're freedom, and there's nobody to tell you that you're doing anything wrong. It's like, and I could be wrong, I don't know the situation, but that's how children feel. As long as they under the roof and direction of their parents, they live in hardship. But as soon as they break the threshold and they out in the street, into consequences like addiction and drug and abuse and rape and incarceration and many other things, they live in freedom and fun until those things hit them. And when they hit them, then they remember the structure. Like, I wish I was in my parents' house. I wish I had somebody to stop me from going out of that door, stop me to make sure I'm not smoking, stop to make sure I'm not getting hooked up with this person and that person. You see, so that may be the case and scenario. So you might want to self-examine who it was that was talking to you and now who's not talking to you. And there are cases where people can use the scriptures wrongfully, but you're not going to find it here in this assembly. Well, we're going to beat you over the head and threaten you and tell you that you're going to die. We just need we got to tell people to repent and tell them which way that they should go. And we let them make a choice and decision on their own. Okay, so now we're going to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. So remember, and it was prophetic that the seed would go in and they would be oppressed, and that happened. And that's all we be talking about. That's all we keep glorifying. We do that because we're expecting the Most High to redeem us from this modern day Egypt, because it's identical to the modern slavery. It's just modernized with computers, electronics, and it moves very fast. But it's the same thing. We have no land, we have no government, we have no currency, we have no natural resources. Everything that we get, we have to pay for, and we are always oppressed and crushed always. It's the exact same thing. So the Lord gonna put it to, but He's gonna make it so that we can stop talking about that deliverance and we can start talking about this deliverance that's coming to us. That's why it's so important that you understand all things so that you can reach out to your people and teach your people what the Most High has in store. Verse 8, but we're going to be saying the Most High liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel. See, that's Jacob, the seed out of the north country, and from all countries, meaning the four corners of the world, whether I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So now the house of Israel is accounted for the seed. Go back to the Hebrews 11. You following along, Bun? Anything confusing? Is there anybody here confused? We can take the time out to straighten it out because you are Travon's co-pilot. You are helping him to teach this lesson. Is there anybody that don't fully understand? It's represented as seed, but the promise continues to multiply through a multitude of people. Okay. Can you give it back to somebody if need be? That's another question. Can you give it back to someone as need be? That's just a question. I'm not asking you to give it to me. I'm asking you to be true to yourself. Can you give it back? You should be throughout your notes and through your memory. You should be like, oh, this link goes with that. This go with that. He said this. He said that. This link. That's how you learn. That's how I was taught. That's how I learned. And reading and praying and application. Keep the commandments, you will have a good understanding. Romans 11. Hebrews 11, sorry. Hebrews 11, thank you. In verse 12. Therefore sprang there even of one, sprang meaning came forth from one person, and him as good as dead. That's Abraham. So many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sand which is by the seashore. He's quoting Genesis 22. This is Paul. Innumerable. This covers you and your children that you bring forth. That's why you have got to choose wisely. I had to say Galatians, right? Get back there. Galatians. Chapter 3. Now it's finna compress and single someone out amongst the many seeds. Galatians chapter 3, verse 16. Travon, you following?
Yes, sir.
Now to Abraham and his seed, that's Israel. That's the innumerable. That's the great multitude, as the stars in heaven and the sand on the seashore. Where the promise is made, he saith not to seeds. That's what another brought out. Abraham's other children, as of many, but as of one. Now it's finna compress it because there's amongst us, there's somebody special that people have got to listen to and follow. That's what the will of the Most High is. And to thy seed, which is Christ. So you see how it now, throughout the twisting and the winding, the road levels out. The road now is going to Christ. Any questions? All right. So we got that out of the way. Let's go back to the book of Genesis. Okay, so with that information, where do we start? What do you think the next thing is? Where do we go from there in Genesis? Let's go to Genesis 37. Genesis 37 and verse 1. Now Jacob dwelt in a land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. So who's Jacob's father? Isaac, right? That land was a good land, the land of Canaan. It just so happened to be that the people in the land were bad people. Okay? The scriptures say that the land, what about the land? Describe it. What did it say? What did it say about the land? Right. It was a land that floweth with milk and honey. What does that mean? Wealthy?
Wealthy, resourceful.
Rich, mineral rich.
Mineral rich, and wealthy, resourceful. How does the honey taste? Okay, Jabril.
Paradise out there.
A paradise. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I would say it too. You know, how's honey taste?
Sweet.
So why did you were you literally stepping in honey? No,
Might be a bunch of beehives,
it might not though. So I'm tired of him. So as far as sweetness, what do you think it's gonna be talking about? Ah, snap. Okay, guys. What do you think it's talking about as far as sweetness?
Rest.
Rest? Sweet.
Like
It's a charging point somewhere around here. Why? No. I got the other one.
this one hanging by you.
This is it.
Cows might well say rest too.
Rest. Oh. Okay. Yeah. I mean, of course they're gonna get rest, but yeah, explain rest.
Well, because they journey in the wilderness and then going into the land that flowed with milk and honey, it's like their rest, their peace, that sweet spot where they even going into the land, they got captives. So they got servants to serve them at the same time.
Okay.
We're not in that part, Joe, yet. Like, it's not talking about that.
Well, what I was doing was giving us a visual where Isaac lived,
Yeah, I think.
because he was yeah, he Isaac lived in Canaan.
Yeah.
Or he dwelt there.
Abraham went to Canaan, Isaac did, and Jacob.
So far. So someone said a land that flowed with milk and honey. All right. So it's a metaphor. So when it's in, you guys are quoting Exodus 3. The Lord said, "Have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into a land, a good land and large, and a land flowing with milk." Okay, flowing with milk. So you're not going to have a fountain that flows milk. You know, well, every sarcastic side mark is really deterring what I'm trying to get us to process the similitude of what the Most High is saying. And so wise crack jokes is not the answer. It's just prolonging our edificating point. So milk is something, you know, like if you go to a job and you milk the clock, did you get goat or cow's milk? No, he's milking it. You know, he's taking advantage of a situation. So milk is obviously something that's used for a great substance, a great multitude of different things. So, you know, we could utilize, you could have said something like that. There's plenty of dairy, you know, cows, a cattle, it's flowing with milk, but, you know, just wise cracks, you know, we got to limit it so that we can understand the environment that we're living in, that Isaac was in, and the Most High was promising to him. So I was asking about, you know, the honey part. Honey is sweet, you know. So okay, Bo, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, you know, the land being well established, like Moses had said it to where like houses that were already built, things already in it to where we didn't have to actually go out there and build a house already made.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was thinking.
Sweet.
Sweet. That's the sweet part. Yeah.
Yes, you know,
I was trying to find it around.
and not because we don't have, you know, some of you come from established places that are sweet, but I still don't think that it's as sweet as our land and how the Most High prepared it and allowed us to live in it. I just don't, you know, you might experience, I've been to some really nice places. I visit. I've never lived, and even if I have lived in it, who control those communities? You know, you weren't my neighbors. My people didn't own 100% of everything. So it's a difference. It gave me nothing but what the scriptures say will be, what's it, for the sight of our eyes, will be vexed for the sight of our eyes, to live, to drive through a manicured environment where the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and the lines are manicured, and, you know, there is no buckets, but there are businesses, and I can only go through it. And if I'm caught in there, then I'm in the wrong place. So that is this place here, Canaan. It was sweet. You see, it was sweet. And the Most High was giving that to Israel. So that's the picture that I wanted to paint. So you guys can finish it because it's actually, you're going to have to teach it. So now tell me, are you going to teach it all messed up? Or are you going to try and give the person that you're speaking to a vivid imagination so that they could want to inherit this place? So now the ball's in your hand. So who else got something to say? Tell me about your sweetness or your milk, because that's what you're going to have the reader or the listener listen to you. Because when you do that, you make people want to work it out so that they can see this place that they can only imagine. And if they endure, someday the Most High will give it to them as an inheritance. Hold, before you come and go to the book of 2nd Ezra. Second Ezra 2. Am I in the wrong place? The right side, left side. Bear with me. Second Ezra 7, not 2. Second Ezra 7. In verse 6, it says, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things. So that's why you want to explain and express all the good things that is inside of the city. That city is Canaan. The entrance thereof is narrow and set in a dangerous place to fall. So when you're describing the city, the minds of the people that you're describing it to they are thinking about all the things that will make them fall and disinherit this. So you want to be as vivid as you possibly can, because they are comparing what you're describing. Is it worth what they're going after? So you don't want to play around with it, because nowhere in the world are you going to go and you're going to see a fountain that has the milk of an animal coming out of it. The rock is not a beast, and the beast is not a rock. Like as if there were a fire on the right hand and deep water on the left. Only one path between them both, even between the fire and the water. So that means you got to you got to stay on the straight and narrow. so small that there could one man go at once. If this city were now given into a man for an inheritance, if he never passed the danger set before him, how shall we receive the inheritance? And I said, it is so. And he conferred. He's like, that's right, Lord. Then he said unto me, even so is Israel's portion. So you give them a description of what it looks like, and you have them to go through it. They got to stay on a straight and narrow path, and they've got to learn to avoid the temptation right and on the left so that they can receive all the things that you said, the rest, the buildings, the sweetness, the freedom. When you read Deuteronomy 8, it gives a description of fountains and springs and lakes and ponds and all the, it gives everything to make it sweet. It's perfect. It's like what Jabril said, paradise. It's the glory of all lands because the Lord make it to prosper. He make it to grow. It's his doings. It's not men's doings. It's his doings. And all the people that were there, they got spewed out because they were wicked people. And the Most High placed your foreparents there because they were to grow in his righteousness. They weren't righteous. They had an interest, like it tells us in the book of Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. They went after the Most High. They had a love for him. And so we have love for the Most High. And we read in Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, that the Lord would gather the Israelites from all the place where they were dispersed, and he would put them into that land. And once again, it would be on and popping. Israel would be free from oppression. They would embrace the milk and honey, the sweetness. Anybody got anything to add to it? Okay, go ahead, Bun.
Yeah, the one that I was gonna add to it for a visual of what the sweetness was, I had Deuteronomy 28:4, and I paired it with Numbers 13:23. So in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 4, it says, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. So when the Lord said he will bring us into this land flowing with milk and honey, it will be the increase of everything that we have put our hands towards, as well as like the precept is for, like planting. So the increase in which we will receive in planting, it will look like this. Numbers chapter 13 and verse 23. It says, and they came unto the brook of Ishkal, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they bare it between two upon a staff. So a cluster of grapes so big that two full-grown adults carried that bushel of grapes on a full staff to get it back to the destination to prove, yo, this is what the grapes is yielding. This is the abundance that's in the land. So the land is rich. It's bringing forth milk and honey. So give them that visual to translate, okay, this is some of the things to work towards so that when you get here, you'll have an abundance. So those are the two precepts I wanted to cover as far as giving a visual.
Okay, so let's go back to the book of Genesis. So now Jacob is there. Genesis 37:2 now. Now these are the generations of Jacob. So Jacob meaning Israel. Joseph being 17 years old and feeding the flock of his brethren, with his brethren. So the land is blessed, it's prosperous. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age and made him many colors. Genesis 30. Got a question. Genesis 30:22. Genesis 30:22. God remembered Rachel and God hearkened to her and opened her womb. What was some of the issues or one issue did Rachel have that was one of the reasons why her womb was closed?
Age.
Huh?
Age.
Age. Travon? Envy. Right. Envy. Jump up to verse 8. Sisters, it is the glory of a woman to be fruitful and have children. Rachel said, so Genesis chapter 30:8, and Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. So not only did she wrestle with Leah, but I'm sure she wrestled mentally with the other sisters. Go to the book of Sirach. The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26. and verse 5. So in the book of Sirach, I'm going to mention the first three. If you're on the internet, drop the internet. We're dragging on YouTube. It's the fourth one is why we're here. There be three things which my heart feareth, and the fourth I was so afraid. The slander of a city, the gathering together of an unruly multitude, and a false accusation. All these are worse than death. But a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman, and a scourge of the tongue which communicated with all. So Jacob had to deal with the emotional part. There's no way that Rachel would only keep how she felt to herself. So the Most High, would close her womb. Now, the thing about Rachel, even though she felt some type of way, what was she seeking? What was she seeking other than children?
She wanted his love.
She wanted his love. That's right. In today's world, when a woman is jealous, she don't want love no more. She wants to kill you. She wants hatred. But no, she wanted to love, and that is not the way to love. Because what was being invoked? The purpose of God. And she didn't understand that. She understood her. So let's go back to Genesis 37. Oh, in 3. So this is something that from living and learning, you'd have to live and learn and understand. So also Joseph was called a love child, because how did Jacob feel about Rachel? Oh, he loved her. He loved her. Yes, he did. So when you love somebody and you have a child so deeply, that's considered a love child. Jacob didn't want Leah, and he didn't want Zipporah, and he didn't want Bilhah. That was what the Most High wanted. He was content with Rachel, but he got in line and he understood. But Rachel, she didn't come to find to understand. And that's where her wrestlings, it came in. And so every time he could express himself, and when he had Joseph in his age, he loved him more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peacefully unto him. This is another reason why Joseph would love him, but then more than the others. Just our natural instinct. Go ahead, Trevon.
He was righteous. He necessarily wasn't doing what his other brothers were doing.
Right. He did right things. because he's still a child. He's 17 years old. And he would be doing, the novice, you singing? Yeah, he is over there. Hey, just like anything. But they shut that stuff off. You got to move that. Everything is anything. Like, what is this? You know how you walk into the store and you don't expect it, and it's dashing through the snow. Like, wait a minute, why am I saying that? It just leap up on you. So, yeah, they think they're gonna. So in 37, we'll be all right. In 37, verses 5 through 10, Joseph is having a dream, very confusing dream. He dreamed that there are sheaves that stood up, and his brothers in number, all their sheaves bowed down to his. And they hated him for it. They didn't like it because they had already had an issue because they saw the favoritism that the special beloved son had. So remember the difference between Cain and Abel. What was the difference between Cain and Abel, Bo?
The difference between Cain and Abel did the right thing, and Cain did the wrong. He pretty much like did his sacrifice when he wanted to, and then Abel did his sacrifices according to God.
Right. So the Most High, the Most High, the spirit that the Most High had, he felt that it was acceptable, that Abel's was acceptable, and Cain's wasn't. His countenance was sad and everything. So it's the same. It's the same thing. It's like that in the world even now today. You have children. Now, what we don't do is we don't come out and say, I will favor you as a child more than you. Get your little bag. Get your little over there. And then, well, some people do. And then others, you like, come here, baby. That's my baby. Come here, baby. Hey, Well, as parents, we try not to do that. You asked me to turn it down, Judah. Oh, that was you? Man, what was that, baby face or something? This brother come up to the school bumping. Okay. Well, who was singing that song, Ready or Not? What was the name of the group? After 7. The stereo on 12. I've been listening to the class on the way back. All right. So, being accepted, that's what was up. Verse 11, his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. He's like, what does that mean? And his brother went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said unto him, here am I. And he said to him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? So now remember, Joseph is the youngest. Okay? He's the youngest of the men. He's 17. All his other brothers are older than him. Remember, he's the baby of his old age. And he said, I seek my brother, and tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed thence, for I heard them say, they go to Dathan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dathan. And when they saw him afar, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. So if they want to kill him, they are really out of the spirit and doing some things that are bad. They're feeling bad. They way off, man. This is proof and evident that as good of a parent that you can be, you can still fall. You can still have apples that fall far from the tree. They could go astray. It does not necessarily mean that it's the mother's fault, it's the father's fault, it's the mother's fault. It doesn't necessarily mean that. You can try that with everything that lies within you. As parents, we all do. But it's nothing that you can do. As a child, and you've got parents in the truth, you got to try hard, man. You just got to try hard. You just got to make a choice. You got to make a decision. You cannot just give yourself over to things, people, and places that look and that appear good, deceiving you. You know, I shared this post by a sister. Her name is Promise Israel. Anybody ever heard of her? Let me see if I can find her. It's an insert. I'm going to go into your Facebook. I know this girl's is big. She got like 338,000 followers. Pay attention. I used to think my aunt was just the fun one in the family. Now that I'm older, I see she was one of the most dangerous influences in my childhood. Some of the biggest damage done to a family does not come from outside. It comes from that grown adult inside the family who makes dysfunction look fun. So as you got parents in the truth, you got to beware of people that makes dysfunction look fun. Because your parents are rooting and fighting for you. And oftentimes we as parents will feel bad because the things that we instilled and everything that we're fighting for, it seems to be unraveled, booby trapped and undone by you. Like you're not listening, you didn't pay attention. Too are subject to vanity. And we've got to sit down and trust and pray that the seeds that we have watered in their life will be that we have planted, that someone will water and the Most High will give the increase. But you do make us look bad and feel bad. Let's see. Whatever my mom tried to teach us that could have actually helped us, my aunt would come around her and promote the complete opposite. If my mom pushed education, my aunt made being dumb look normal. She would literally preach again going to college and dropping out. If my mom pushed purity, wisdom, and waiting, my aunt would say reckless crap like you need to F before marriage in case he don't have a good thing. If my mom warned us against drugs, my aunt would hand out lean, perk juice, and let underage kids smoke and drink in her house. She talked about all types of sex in a way where a child would actually think they were missing out on something. If you showed discomfort in a situation, she had a way of bullying you to feel as if your discomfort made you lame or less fun. She would use verbiage such as, I am everybody's favorite. She would say that about herself. Everybody loves me because I don't try to change people. People like me because I'm real. Of moral life of your parents, you'll be flushing down the drain. While you thinking something as bad is good, you are destroying yourself if you take that path route and you listen to some of that stuff. That is the wrong thing to do. I get it. That is tough. Having self-discipline, having discipline. I get it. But that discipline will be rewarding and successful when you turn out to have a great life. When you turn out not to have messed up and made poor decisions spontaneously because you're in a temporary mood. If you continue the foundation of your family lineage that's in this truth, you will have the greatest life on this planet Earth. But it comes with hard work, something that you yourself will be proud of. You'll be so proud that you would cry. You'll be able, I'm proud of myself. I'm successful. I made it where others have failed. You'll be sad that they have fallen, but you'll be proud of yourself. Don't you want that? In order to get it, you got to be a good person. You got to stick with the foundation that the Lord has showed your parents and not try to just make a new way or a way similar to theirs with your understanding. You have no experience to do that. They are teaching and preaching and telling you from experience. And I'm sad to say, failed experience. And being a survivor, we come out and say, hey, don't take this path, take this one. And when you find that the path that was taken was clean, prepared, it seemed orchestrated, and that it's not as fun and pleasing like what everybody else is doing. But that's not the case. It's a path without pain. So you remember that. Genesis 37 and 18, when they saw him afar off, before they came near unto him, they conspired against him to slay him. So they were some bad seeds. They were some gremlins. They straight wanted to kill him. And they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him in some pit. You know what a pit is, man? Or open. They're going to make a grave for him. Let's literally kill him. He was that good. This is bad, man. So let's just say they mother and father, because Jacob is not going to be dealing with Leah, Zipporah, and Bilhah and not teaching them the commandments of the Most High. They were just roads that went astray. It can happen. Pray that it don't. It can happen. Babies are always sweet. I've never met a bad baby. They're always sweet and cuddly, kissable. Yes, they might cry and poop a little lot and throw up. That's not the point. That's natural. But babies are always cuddly and lovable. I started off like that. You all started off like that. But somewhere along the line, we ran into somebody like that sister's aunt. A bad example that booby-trapped what our parents were trying to instill in us. Right, Bun?
Yes, sir.
We gotta be stronger and we gotta do something different. Okay, Judy, you have something?
Yeah, what you just said just reminded me of, of Job, and when he said that, every year he sacrificed for each one of his children because it may or might be that they may sin or that they sin. So like, it was just something that was on his mind because you can't watch them 24/7. So, it may be that they sin, but nevertheless, he continually every year did that sacrifice for each one of his children.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Verse 21. We fast forward as much as we got a lot to cover, not today, but throughout the journey. And at any time, you can always go back and fill in the. Reuben heard it and delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid them out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. So maybe Reuben took that approach because if Reuben didn't side with them, who would be in the pit with him? Reuben would. That's how treacherous he was. So that is an example of being fearful and saying something, but you can't say too much because then you would disclose that you're not really a part and down with that. And the thing about it is, Reuben is the oldest. Yeah, he's the oldest and still couldn't run him. Still couldn't control him because if he could have, he'd have been like, they didn't listen, guys. This is how it's gonna be. And this is what it is. But trick question, why couldn't he control them? Judah?
Because he never corrected them.
Okay. Trevon?
Because he felt the same way. And in a way was doing the same thing. And if he would have tried to correct them, they would have looked at him and been like, well, you're doing the same thing.
We're leaving something out. Why couldn't he control them? Something that you got to learn about everything. If I get up and I go into the kitchen, that's kind of that. Let me make a move more drastically. Something other than just going into the kitchen. A man's goings of the Lord is where I'm trying to go with this. He couldn't control them because the Most High was not going to humble them. The Most High was not going to let that happen. They were hardened because the Most High, everything that was happening was of the Most High. Their heart was turned. They felt like they could have been easy peasy. There are choices and decisions that were their own free will and their own free mind. I get that. But the Most High had to get Joseph where? Into Egypt. Now, as good as Joseph was, the Most High was going to ascend him to a throne of another nation in another country. And he would come in a wagon, chained up through the back door on a dark evening. And they didn't know, behold, a leader was coming. So all of that was of the Most High. A lot of times we point the finger, man, 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 man. But we got to learn to start trying to figure out, God, Lord, where are you in this? Where are you in this? And we got to start trying to look and see. Why is this person making this move? Where are you in the midst of this? What's your will in the midst of this? Now, of course, Reuben didn't want it to happen. Joseph didn't want it to happen. Those brothers thought that that's what they was doing, but they were only, remember how, who said that you can't do nothing except the Lord allow it? Right with me. No, I'm sorry. It was Yahushua. No, it was because he run into problems and Paul run into problems. John 19. The book of St. John, chapter 19. And verse 5. Then came Yahushua. Well, that's whom the word calls Jesus. We know him after the Hebrew name and pronunciation of Yahushua. Jesus is the Greek translation. So he came forth wearing a crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said unto them, Behold the man that he so infamously heard about. He was known. Behold the man. When the chief priests, therefore, and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him! Crucify him! Pilate said unto them, Take ye him and crucify him. For I find no fault in him, because he wasn't known for breaking laws. How you gonna crucify somebody that is not known for breaking laws? Give me an excuse. Pilate didn't have any. The Jews answered him, We have a law, and by our law he ought to die, because he made himself the Son of God. So jealousy did they feel like that. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he was more afraid, because he was known for his acts, and he is claimed based upon their testimony to be the Son of God. So Pilate is more smarter than they are, because through fear, what did Pilate say to himself? That this man's goings is of the Lord. They thought about the Most High. Wow, this makes sense. The stuff that he's doing, he's claiming to be the Son of God. He heard about miracles that no man can do except God be with him. And then through all of his downfall, the spirit of humility was on him. The scriptures say he went to the slaughter as a sheep dumb before his shearers. That spoke volumes. That's why how you deal with a situation means a lot. It speaks volumes. I taught us in the last class that when you say something, All you got to do is say it, and people will remember it. The same way as if I said, I'm giving us all $150. Then you all would remember that. You are not going to forget that. Neither will you forget something simple if you got to represent yourself and say, no, you're wrong about me. And you say it. Just plainly say it. Even though the ranting and the raging during the time of Christ, crucify him, crucify him. He remembered. And he wasn't worried about what they were saying. He was worried about what he knew that this guy had did, and that he had no sin in him, and that he was saying that he was the son of the Most High, and you gonna kill him because he is claiming that. That's far, even being unjust, Pilate, that's far from just. That's far beneath unjust. That's insane. For to kill a good man for doing good things, that's jealousy. But let me continue. Verse 9, the book of St. John, chapter 19, and verse 9. And went again into the judgment hall and said unto the Christ, whence art thou? But the Lord gave him no answer. Then said Pilate unto him, trying to provoke him to talk, speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee and power to release thee? Here's our point. The Lord answered, thou couldst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Therefore, he that delivereth me unto thee have the greater sin. So he couldn't do nothing except the God Almighty allowed it. That's what was up with the brothers. While they think that they are in control, the Most High has so many steps against them, using their own envy and wickedness to execute his agenda to get Joseph into Egypt. So think again. God is involved. He's in the midst of everything. Good, bad, whatever. Lord, what is your will pertaining to this thing right here? And don't just erase the Most High out of a situation because it is bad. Okay? Then turned around, the brothers, well, we're going to know. I got to speak it. It's bad to us. We call them murderers. We said all these bad things and so on and so forth. Well, who end up forgiving them? Get that for me. Yes, sir.
Which one? In this context or in previous context with Joseph?
With Joseph. Because Joseph forgave him. Joseph, Genesis 45. Go back. Let's do this and go to Genesis 45. Genesis chapter 45, verse 1. Joseph could not refrain himself. So now Joseph is high and mighty. Before all them that stood by him, and he cried, cause every man to go out from me. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph made himself known unto his brethren. And he wept aloud. And the Egyptians of the house of Pharaoh heard. We always reenact the weep, the wept. How did he sound? Who's not shy? Let's see if Corey can get it. Okay. Another? Mhm. You couldn't weep if that was you. Jabril? What, you was scared or something? So he's crying. You sure? What you gonna eat out the side? He like, yeah, I got some leftovers. Come on, man. Ja? So remember. Okay, so everybody that did that, what type of illustration did you just give to your students? Okay, Trevon? Go ahead, let pour it out. It's okay, he was loud. I do it every year. I ain't gonna do it. Okay, Abanya. What?
That's about it. He got it.
Oh yeah.
He got it.
Don't cry, Joseph. That was good. Yeah, he let out that cry and it was loud enough. It was loud enough for people that was in adjacent and adjoining rooms to hear that thing. It's like, what's wrong with the man? You know, Prince. Yeah, you can tell. They found out though. All right. So, but the point is, wait. We're gonna go back. Genesis 45. Answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. So he was very high royalty. He was. And Joseph said unto his brethren, come near unto me, I pray you. And they came near, and Joseph said, and he said, I am Joseph, your brethren, whom ye sold into Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, that ye sold me hither. For God did send me before you to preserve life. So he thought about what many of us may not have thought about. He put the Most High in the midst of it. He was able to be in spiritual, and being spiritual, he also was able to forgive them and understand that they were being moved by the Most High. Their heart was hardened, and they were being blinded. If they had a new strategy that the Most High was using, they would have been filled with even more envy. How he getting that? Yeah, he get it, yeah. Why he can use him? You know what I mean? You know, why not use me? Go ahead, Judah.
So, like, what you saying, putting God, you know, in the midst of it.
Joseph just said it.
Right, but I'm asking, in this context, I understand that.
Okay.
But, like, in the world we live in, right, how do you explain to somebody with young kids killing each other, and how do you explain that, like, God is in the midst of it? It's like, how do you explain that when what's going on is we filling up prisons and depopulating ourselves? You know what I'm saying? It's like genocide. Like, how do we put God in the midst of that to a mother who lost her child to, you know, the prison or the gang life and stuff like that? How do we put God in the midst of it?
Same way you do anything else. Okay, Button got an answer.
Yeah, we went to it earlier about how the path of getting to the kingdom is, you know, narrow, and on the left is these distractions and the ways of the world, and on the right, likewise, you know, the curves. And the Lord gave us these decipher through who was worthy of getting to narrate that to students and let them know, you know, it's people in this world who get caught up in this and in that, and it's people in this world who get their life for the Lord. Understand that, like in Hebrews 4:1, they know the promise, so with fear they live their life, understanding what's to come. So you kind of just got to narrate it with all of those things included, and then precept it and show them, you know, it's very hard to get into the kingdom, you know, and not many make it.
Okay.
And then it's two, so this is two different situations.
Right.
Remember, first of all, Joseph had what? He had two dreams. Two dreams that expounded him being in a certain way of life. And then remember, what's that we always read, Ecclesiastes 2, about how you're supposed to be when you change to a lower state. Be patient. His patience took him to that point. You know what I'm saying? But so in the world, being righteous and being, a lot of those are judgments. You're going to prison. The Most High, Joseph didn't do nothing. The Most High said
Right.
he did everything right. And his brothers conspired against him because he was righteous and given a righteous report instead of covering for him. So you out playing with guns and shooting at people and you're going to jail for that. That's the scripture. The Most High giving you due of your reward.
Right. You don't end up king of the prison. You end up
Yeah.
on death row.
Hey,
It's this. You end up the warden now. Like, man, you know, no, bro. You killed some people, man. You on death row now, man. Go ahead, Javon.
And also, like in captivity, it was said that the Most High set out two choices, life and death. So God is in the midst because He also gave these people choices. You have the choice to be able to do the right thing to live, and you also have the choice to do the wrong thing to live. People out here, although they may not have the scriptures, they know it's wrong to kill, they know it's wrong to steal. So doing those things, the Most High has not judged them, because it also says in the scriptures, the Most High made spirits for vengeance. So the Most High, He put those spirits out there for people that do the wrong thing. So these people, when you come to these people and say, hey, this happened, you can use these scriptures. Hey, the Most High made this spirit right here because of this person. The Most High did this because your son made the choice that he made.
That's the Most High rich.
1 Peter 4. First Peter chapter 4 and verse 13. Rejoice inasmuch as you are partakers in Christ's sufferings. So we're going to be partakers in, so Christ was apprehended and dealt some type of way, and he did nothing wrong. Same thing with Joseph, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. If you be reproached for the name of Christ, reproach, it says someone addressed in such a way to express disapproval or disappointment. So you're doing right and people are in disapproval or an expression in you, and you did not sin. That's how they did the Lord. For the spirit of glory, which is doing the right thing, and of God rested upon you, and people, wickedness hate righteousness. Bad hates good. And a lot of times brothers and sisters be wondering, like, why is this person giving me a hard time? Why do they hate me? I know why they hate me, because I am going to be a representative and apply the word of the most. Them is going to, they hate it. That's why I stay out of the way. And they do you the same way.